Hello, everyone. I want to go through the week 3 housekeeping items. A lot of this is going to be very similar to the first 2 weeks, but just want to go over some of the details, what's expected inside of week 3 of the course. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We'll talk about feedback on the homework and quizzes. That's going to be basically the same thing as what we said the first 2 weeks. We'll talk about feedback on discussion 2.1. What's involved, what you need to look at in terms of the feedback, etc. Assignment 1.2, that is the Math Resource Center quiz. That needs to be completed by the end of this week or week 3. We'll touch base on the analog practice test. It's still open through the rest of the course, but remains open. If you haven't tackled that, I strongly encourage you to go ahead and take a look at that. It is relatively an easy 5 points to get out of the way. We'll talk about discussion 3.1. This week is not a graded forum. However, this is a mechanism that you can earn attendance for this particular week. And then we'll talk about my availability for the upcoming week 3. So let's go ahead and get started with this. Very similar to the first 2 weeks. You have until the last day of class to complete any homework, quiz, practice, midterm exam, practice, final exam. Scores are automatically updated to the grade book. With the homeworks, unlimited attempts, quizzes, you have up to 3 attempts. Again, nothing's changed from the first 2 weeks, but I always like to reiterate and make mention of that every time in a housekeeping message. Feedback on discussion 2.1 should be available inside the class portal. There's going to be a few things that you're going to see inside of that feedback. You should see the score out of 15 points for discussion 2.1. You will also see a rubric out there of how I assessed your initial post, your first response, and your second response. There will also be a blurb to ask you if there's questions. Don't hesitate to send me an email, etc. But again, we've iterated the first 2 weeks of the class. Number one, there are no late submissions of discussion forums. So the grade is final on the discussion 2.1. So it cannot be resubmitted. They are only open the 7 days that they are assigned. So what is listed out there as far as the grade is final. If you need some additional feedback, again, don't hesitate to send me an email. Again, one discussion forum that may not have the best grade on it, you would want to potentially improve and improve the quality of those responses out there, so you ensure you get to the 15 points, or in week 6, 20 points on that discussion forum. Okay, My Math Lab, we talked about this the first 2 weeks, but again, there is a video underneath announcements. If you have not enrolled into My Math Lab as of yet, you need to do that as soon as possible. This announcement goes through 3 important things. It goes through how to enroll into My Math Lab. It goes through the process of completing a homework and/or quiz. It also goes through the process of seeing the feedback, so that you can see the detailed feedback of what you got right, what you got wrong compared to the correct answer, etc., all included inside this video that is posted underneath the announcement. So strongly encourage you to take a look at that if you have not done so already. Assignment 1.2, this is the Math Resource Center quiz. This is the last week this assignment will be open. I talked about back in the first 2 weeks video, week 1 and week 2's housekeeping video, on how to complete it. There is also an announcement inside the class portal that goes through the step-by-step process on how to complete this Math Resource Center quiz. So review the week 1 video, covered that in great detail, but this is the last week that this assignment can be completed. It is only open weeks 1, 2, and 3 inside the class for a total of 21 days. Analog practice test, if you have not completed this, this is the mechanism of the proctoring service that you will use to complete your final exam during week 11. Strongly encourage you to take a look at this so that if there are issues with your hardware, software, microphone, camera, etc., that you can resolve that before week 11 gets here, because technical issues are not going to be a grounds for an extension when it comes time to week 11 rolling around. So again, that's why I make mention we do this week 1, week 2, week 3. I'm going to remind you throughout the last week of the course of this assignment so that you're ready to go to take that final exam during week 11. And I cover this in detail inside of the week 1 housekeeping video. Please take a look at that if you need some additional information on that. Okay. Week 3 discussion forum is not a graded discussion forum. You can earn attendance by making a posting to this. This does not require an initial post and 2 quality responses. Again, the responses are not required. If you make 1 or more posts inside a week 3 discussion forum, it counts as attendance, but it does not count for any points. So let me go through the basis of what's involved for discussion 3.1. I'm going to come out of the PowerPoint here, come back into my browser. Let's take a look at what's involved. What you're going to do, you're going to go on to salary.com and you're going to get on whatever field you're studying or what you're currently employed in, you're going to get what the salary is for that particular thing. So if you're going to become an accountant may be making $70,000 a year. If you were to take that $70,000 and earn that over the scope of 30 years, assuming no change in interest at either 3% or 4%, how do you go in and what do you get at the end of 30 years? So let's take a look at the example here, and it will go through the steps of after the 30 years, how much have you accumulated in earnings? So it'll say review the lifetime salary example that'll open up here. Okay, so as this example, they're utilizing programmer as the base amount. So annual salary of $61,900. In the discussion, it says that you're going to accumulate that amount for 30 years at a 3% increase each year. So in other words, you get 3% after the first year, 3% after the second year, etc. The formula you're going to use is going to be this guy right here, and it will tell you what you need to plug in. 61,900 as the starting salary. The R becomes 1.03 because for the first part of the posting requires 3%. So you got 1.03. We're accumulating it over the 30 years. So plugging in the A sub 1, which is the 61,900, the R being 1.03, and the N being 30, and again, the R being 1.03. It goes through step by step on how to calculate it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take that 1.03 to the 30th. So if I pull up a calculator here, I'm going to key in 1.03. The x to the y is your exponent there. So the x to the y, 30 equals, notice you get the 2.42762, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera there. That's where this is coming into play. So the next thing you need to do is the 1 minus that value. The 1 minus that value gets you that. The next step, you're going to take 61,900 times negative 1.42726,247. I would carry that out as many decimal places as your calculator gets back, and then divide it by negative 0.03. And you'll notice over the lifetime of 30 years, you get $2,944,918.23. Now, when you reply back in the initial post, don't round it to 3 million. I want it to the cent. Your bank isn't going to round up to 3 million. I want to know the exact value. And again, this formula tells you to the nearest penny what that result is. Okay. So the 4% is same song, different verse. The only thing that changes is the R becomes 1.04 to the 30th. So utilizing the same process that we just talked about a minute ago, notice by increasing that by 1 percentage point, you're now up to $3,471,657.65. Taking the difference or the subtraction between the two, that 1% increase makes a difference of $526,000. So 526, 739.42. So that 1% over the scope of 30 years is close to, it's a little over $500,000, which is pretty substantial that's there. So this document is located inside the discussion forum. If you follow that step by step, you should be able to take whatever your initial value is for your chosen field, do the calculations that are required to come up with your initial post. Just like previously inside of week 1, or week 2's discussion forum, you do have the option to do a quality response on anything on week 3's homework, reply to my response that I do Monday through Thursday, or respond to another student. So you do have those options that are there. Okay, so we go back to the PowerPoint, bring this back up again. And then last but not least, the availability during the week, just like the previous 2 weeks. I'm inside the class portal Monday through Friday and Saturday morning. Response times are typically 24 hours or less. It generally is quicker. Starting after Saturday morning, anytime Saturday afternoon through Sunday, you may not get a response back until Monday morning. May not, but that is typically my time away from facilitating a class. You do have my email down there. Again, this is the best way to get a hold of me. You can use the Google phone, goes directly to voicemail, sends me an email, and then I would respond back to you via email. Let me know if there's any questions on week 3. Thanks.